So this is how the standardization properties window will looks like. And once you double click on that, it will open this window. You can see the standardization sorry, the stage properties and the new process. Like, right now you want to add or you want to apply any kind of rule set, you just click on this one, and then you have to select what type of rule set you want to apply. So the modify process, like, if you already defined the rule sets, and if you want to edit any one of the rule set, or if you want to change any kind of the column or whatever it may be, then you will go with the modify process. And delete process is just to delete your the existed rules which you have defined. And a move up and move down is like, just to adjust your rule sets. So right now, this is a new rule set which I'm going to apply on my input data. So I'm going with the new process. And then if you look at this window, this is exactly the same window what we have seen in the investigate stage. Sorry. While we are discussing about the investigate stage, specifically about the pattern report and token report, we in the investigate stage properties window also we selected the rule set, and then we generated the report. This is this exactly the same window here also. So once you browse this one, you will get the repository, like, where the actual rule sets are presented. And if you want, you can select this rule set, and you have to map the column. So right now what we are doing is we are applying the copy of US name rule set .sct. So this rule set we are applying on the name field. If you want, you can add another rule set also. Like that, there is no limitation um, in the rule set in the standardization window. At max, I guess, mm, I think 10. So if you exceed that, I think you will get some issues. So basically, like, max 10 we can apply. And if you want, you can apply different rule sets also. For example, here I have selected the name. If you want to apply the address rule set, you can select the address rule set here. And if you want to do the standardization of the any phone number or any identifier, we have few common rule sets, like in vphone dot set and ssn number validations kind of thing. So you can select different types of rule sets in a single standardization stage. You can do multiple attributes standardization. So better like at max 10. I think if it is exceeding 10, better to place another standardization stage or kind of thing. Then you can do the other attributes standardization. So for now, I started with the name. So name attribute, I'm applying on the name column. So if you look at the stage properties, this SQL report I will tell you later. If you look at the window, the columns window, here up to zip4, I'm passing in my input column. Starting from the unique identifier till zip4 are my actual data columns which I am passing to the standardization stage. But here, if you look at the columns, it is generating so many columns. The stage generated columns, you are seeing it here. So first of all, let me run the job, and then we will see what are all these columns. I'm creating a data set I will tell you like later why I'm creating the data set, because like specifically it will be helpful for us while we are dealing with the matching process. I will tell you like in why we are placing the instruct CSV file, why I'm creating the data set. So while we are discussing about the matching, you will come to know why I have created this file in the .ds. So for now, I'm creating the .ds file instruct CSV file. Okay. So I think while discussing about the flow, I clearly told you like in the standardization stage, there won't be any change in the number of records which you are passing. Like if you are passing 200 records, you will get the 200 records output. But the extra columns, the stage generated columns will get added, and those are the like the standardization columns. But you cannot see like any change in the number of records count. Basically it will do the standardization, it won't do any kind of duplication and all those things. So it will just take the input set and it will do the standardization, it will give the same set as an output, but by adding like extra stage generated columns. Okay, so let me go to this report now. Okay, so till here, like starting from unique identifier to till zip code, these are my actual columns. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 columns which I'm passing as an input. But if you look at my output, how many columns it is getting generated, like your name type, gender, code, and it is identifying male or female also. So the prefix, what is the prefix and what is the first name, what is the middle name, and so name, prefix, and first name, primary name, name generation. So these are all like different type of columns which got generated from the standardization stage. So yesterday I think we discussed about the dictionary file which we have in the quality stage rule set. So yesterday we were discussing about the dictionary file. I told you like this is a dictionary file is a kind of metadata file, like where we will specify the stage generated columns metadata and the length and the type of that particular columns or the stage generated columns. So the similar, the same thing you are seeing here. Whatever the column names you are seeing it here, like name, prefix, and first name. So underscore copy of name is nothing but like my rule set name. My rule set name is copy of US name. So that is the reason why it is adding underscore copy of US name. But if you go and look at the dictionary file, you can see only the first name, middle name, and a primary name. By defaultly, it will add underscore the rule set name for each and every stage generated column. Okay, so here so many columns we are seeing, right? So let me go and open back the name rule set, and then I will show you, like, where exactly these dictionary file columns and what are columns. We are seeing it here in the rule set. The same columns you can see it there in the dictionary file. Let me open it and compare. So classification file and the dictionary file and the pattern file we will see. First of all, we will start with the dictionary file. So you are seeing, right, name type, gender code, name prefix. Let's forget about all these things, the other things. First of all, let's only concentrate on the column names. A name type is one of the column, gender code is one of the column, name prefix is one of the column, first name is one of the column, middle name, primary name, name generation. Like this, we have the different columns. So around, like, in 20 plus columns, I think it seems this phrase is generated when you apply the US name rule set. So this is just a kind of metadata file. It won't populate any kind of data. It's just a kind of metadata file, like how we will define a metadata in your data stage for any one of the file. We will define the column and we will select the type and we will give the size and a nullable yes or no type of thing. So the same metadata structure in the dictionary file. But once you run the standardization rule set in any one of the file input file, from where this, say right now, if you look at the report, you are seeing some data in name type, gender code, first name, middle name. You are seeing some data, but from my input data, I'm not passing the data for these columns, right? So I'm just passing 8 columns, and the stage and data columns are getting generated. But from where the stage columns are getting the data? So that is, if you go and look at the pattern action file, if you compare the flow, the yesterday we discussed about the execution flow. While executing the pattern action file, it will take the dictionary file, and according to the pattern action statements, it will populate the data to the dictionary file columns. So that process will happen it here in the pattern action file. So if you compare with yesterday's execution flow, in the pattern action file, it is using the dictionary file along with the reference tables and override tables, right? So in the pattern actions, so whenever the pattern is matching, the corresponding pattern action statements will get executed. While executing the pattern action statements, it will assign the data to this dictionary file columns. So basically, this pattern action file is the one, which will populate the data to the dictionary file columns by the usage of the by using the reference data as well as the override tables. Okay, so we have one more thing, classification file. So from where exactly this classification file will help us. Um, Let me go back to the tool set, sorry, the report. Here you are seeing the input pattern. So if you compare with the token report or pattern action report which we generated in the investigate stage. So if you compare this one, here also it is identifying the what is the input pattern of your data. So Fi, and it is giving the plus, and Fi and plus G. So from where this classification codes are coming in, basically the pattern is nothing but the combination of the classification codes, right? So here, if you look at this input pattern, you are seeing Fi plus and F plus and Fi plus G and all those things. Right? So these are coming in from classification file. So in just now I opened the name rule set. There you have the classification file. Inside that we have specified the codes corresponding to the particular data. So what it is doing is from where you are getting this information. Basically it will use that classification file, and it will identify the internally it is running the pattern report for your data. So like how we are running the pattern report in the investigate stage. In the similar fashion here also, when you are using the standardization stage to do the standardization, basically it is running the pattern action report also. So it is giving the all the patterns which are corresponding to that particular name field. So this one is getting generated by using the pattern action file. And all other columns we are seeing, right, unhandled data and unhandled pattern and all those things, from where these columns are coming in, from the dictionary file we generated all the metadata, and from the pattern action file, based upon the pattern action statements, we are populating the data to these dictionary file columns. So now the question is what columns we need to use, like in exactly in what columns the standardization data will present. Like we pass 8 columns, we are getting, so for single name field we are passing in a single column in the input data, but in the output we are getting in these many columns after the standardization. So exactly what are all columns you need to use for your standardization, and how exactly you have to filter out the data, like what is the standardized data and what is the not standardized data, based on what column you can differentiate. So basically, first we will discuss about how we can filter it out the data, like what is the standardized data and what is the not standardized data, and then we'll see how we can what all columns we can use in the standardization output to get the name standardization, the actual name standardization, and all those things. So first of all, let me show you here the key columns. We are seeing unhandled data here, unhandled pattern. So either one you can use. If it is unhandled data, if it is equals to null, then the record was standardized. The name attribute of this particular record was standardized. If it is null, and if you are seeing some value, wherever you are seeing some value, so basically the rule set which you are applying, that is not able to standardize. That is the reason why you are seeing the unhandled data. So particularly this particular data, the rule set is not able to standardize it. So that is the reason why you're seeing some value. So what you can do is, in the after the standardization stage, you can put some transformer there. What you can do is you can put a constraint on this unhandled data. If it is only the name rule set which you have applied, then you can simply put a constraint there. You can specify unhandled data of copy underscore username is not equals to null, then you can consider um, that is a invalid the rule set which is not able to standardize. And if it is equals to null, then your data was standardized. You can, based upon this particular column, you can differentiate what are all data, what are all records are standardized and what all records are not standardized. Okay, so we can use this column to filter out the data. Now let me see what columns you can use to form your standardization name field. So basically, what you can do is what pattern your project is suggesting. Let's take last name and first name and the middle name, or last name, first name and middle name, or first name, middle name, and then last name. So whatever the format the business need, accordingly you can form this. So anyhow, we are placing one transformer stage right after the standardization stage to filter out the data. So in the same transformer, based upon the pattern, how you need it, you need the combination of the first name and then middle name and then the last name, or first name, middle name, and last name. So how exactly you need it. So based upon that, these columns, whatever the columns we are seeing it here, first name, middle name, and then primary name. So primary name is nothing but last name, you can say. So first name, middle name, and last name, and the initial. What I can say is whether it is what I can say. If you are getting any kind of initial value or and all those things, those you can see it here. So at the end, only this first name column, middle name column, primary name column, these columns we are going to use but the format again depends upon how the business needs. Like, if they want the primary name first and then middle name and then the first name, or how exactly they want it, accordingly you can concatenate these three columns, because you are passing the whole name field in a single attribute or single column in the in your input data. So while you are giving the results back also, you need to put the standardization version of your name field into the same single column field, right? So if you want to present like all these three columns into single column, then again you need to use in the transform stage. Basically, you need to concatenate it, these three columns, based upon the format which the business needs, and then you can generate the report and you can give it back. Okay, so for now, you just understand the flow. Like, yesterday we discussed the execution flow and from where we are taking it. So try to understand the flow. What is the user the classification file? What is the user the dictionary file? And how these stress and data columns are getting populated. And here specifically for the name field we are discussing here. So what are all columns we can use for the standardized version, that I'm highlighting it here: first name, middle name, and primary name. And one more thing is how we can filter out the data, like the standardized version and the not standardized version. That again, I just now I showed you one of the key column, right? So based upon that, you can put a constraint and you can differentiate your standardized data and not standardized data. And also, I think you guys may have like some queries. Yesterday, I think we'll be discussing about the investigate stage, wherever you're seeing plus G and plus and all those things. So I think while discussing the investigate stage, I told you like these are the default classification codes. That means the rule set is not able to identify them. Like we didn't specify this particular token which you are getting for the plus and mm, question mark, if you see somewhere, like these are all whenever you are seeing the apart from the alphabets, wherever you are seeing the classification codes, those are nothing but default classification code. That means I told you like this, the rule set is not able to identify them as a known tokens or whatever it may be, right? So one thing is, in the pattern action file, even if few of the tokens are not identified by the rule set, they have defined some kind of default patterns inside the pattern action file. So here, um, two words it is able to identify, but one single token it is not able to identify. Though it is not there in the not standardized version of kind of thing, right? Even though if you are getting some unknown token, the rule set is able to standardize it. So that is the reason why you are saying unhandled data copy of underscore username is null. Just now we discussed, based upon this column, we are going to differentiate the data. If it is not equals to null, then your data is not standardized. If it is equals to null, then your data is standardized. So if you compare the corresponding input pattern, you are getting the plus symbol. That means unclassified token. Even you are getting the unclassified token, still we are the rule set is able to standardize it. That is the reason we are saying null. But how it is able to standardize it? So in the pattern action file, what they have done is they have defined some kind of what I can say, default pattern kind of thing. If F and I is matching, and after that whatever is coming, they're simply doing the executing some kind of pattern action statements. So that is the reason why you are seeing this unknown token also as a kind of like it is, you define some kind of pattern, right? The default pattern or whatever it may be. So according to that, it will execute those action statements and it is able to standardize it. So that is the reason why you are not seeing that data into the unclassified or like not standardized data. Similarly here FI and again plus and again G you are getting. So still here also you have some what I can say unclassified token. Still the rule set is able to standardize it. So here one thing is you just need to check with your business if they are okay with this type of patterns. Means there will be few customers, they won't like the default what I can say pattern and pattern action statements in your pattern action file. They want always like the proper one. Let me identify it here somewhere whether we have it or not. Yeah, if you look at here, there is no unclassified token for this particular data. So some business people, what they will ask is they won't like the default classification codes, or sorry, uh, it is, even if you are getting the unclassified token, this is the rule set is able to standardize it, right? Some business people, they won't like it. They want all, like in this particular fashion, all tokens which they are passing. So they want, like they will ask you, like they need the proper classification code and all those things. So, and if you identifying any unclassified tokens, then the business may ask you to update your rule set to get the proper what I can say, proper token for that, and accordingly proper action and pattern and pattern action statements. So what we have to do is, for that specifically, anyhow you are going to run the investigate stage. So there itself you can identify what are all tokens are not getting standardized, or what all tokens are getting standardized, and all those things. So there itself they will give you some suggestions, like here you are getting some plus symbol. So for one of the token or whatever it may be, right, they can suggest you put this token as F, or put this token as M. So some kind of first name or middle name or last name, or they will ask you to put some other classification code for that. So once you modify the classification code according to that, again you need to come to the pattern action file, and if there is no any pattern to satisfy or to process this particular pattern, then you need to add your own pattern there, and this particular data, whatever you modified, this data will match to this particular pattern, and then the corresponding pattern action statements will get executed. So you guys are clear on this, or do you want me to take some example and then explain it? Like, what is the link? Like, why the business will ask and all those things.
Yeah, Gopi, I have one query.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there is a input patent copy of the USNM. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we have defined somewhere if this is any one of will be the as a, valid as a patent code,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, as a, whatever is classification code, then it will be become a null. If see, so how where we will set if this will be there, so it will become a null, or it will not be there, so it will become a like as a, it will give us some value.
That is what I'm
See,
saying. That is entirely the pattern action file. Even you will not understand what I will say, the if I discuss about the pattern action file. If you want to understand the pattern action file, there is a pattern action language. First of all, you need to get some what I can say, introduction about the pattern action language, and then if you discuss about the pattern action file, you will get some idea about that. So that I'm saying, like going forward, like most probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we will discuss about the pattern action language, specifically the pattern action language basic commands and all those things. Then again we will come back to this rule set, and then we will open up the pattern action file, and there we will discuss about it. So there I will show you, like how it is placing the data, and if it is not able to identify, so why where exactly it is placing the null value inside that. So that execution flow we'll see later. So for now you just
okay,
understand whether this particular pattern is presented or not in the pattern action file. If the pattern is presented, then it will execute the corresponding pattern action statements. If the pattern is not presented, then it will give the value, what exactly the value, it is not able to standardize it. If the
okay,
pattern action
uh,
statements are executed for any one of the pattern, then you will not see the unhandled data pattern as a like you will see the unhandled data pattern as null, because pattern action statements are getting executed. So accordingly, your data was moved to the proper columns, like first name, middle name, and last name columns are there, right? So your data will get moved to those columns. Whenever it is not able to identify the pattern action pattern and pattern action statements in the pattern action file, then we will see null here in the unhandled data. Sorry, you will see some data here in the unhandled data.
yeah, Gopi, sorry, again one. See, for in same scenario, I want to if if input pattern will be is like we have the FF. there is no as a default classification code.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, only I want to null rather than will be give the is value whatever is there. See FF and what is in below also we have the FIF. So
Yeah.
particular that value I want to null and rather than will be give as a default value whatever is there.
Yeah.
So
So that is
for
what I'm saying. If that is the case, you have to modify your pattern action file.
the pattern action we need to modify.
Yeah. So right now what they have done is FF, and then they will put some default value. So after that, after FF, whatever the value is coming, so they are simply mapping to that particular pattern. So the corresponding pattern action statements will get executed. If you don't want it, if you need a specific patterns, like and if you don't want proceed with the unclassified tokens and all those things, then exactly you need to modify your pattern action file, or else you need to update your classification file by giving or updating some value, some token for this particular plus symbol. So for plus, you will see some value, right? What value you are getting for the plus. So you just need to update into the classification file, or you need to modify your pattern action file. Two action statements you can do. One is what are all unclassified tokens you are getting in this particular. Here I have taken around 203 records, right? In this 203 records, I can go and see what is the plus value, and here what is the plus value, and here what is the plus value. And I can list out all those values, and I can check with my business, and I can take the corresponding classification codes from them, and again I will go to the classification file and I will update all those tokens, and then I will go and check in the pattern action file whether there is any pattern is presented or not. If it is presented, automatically it will execute those pattern action statements. That is one way of updating, modifying your rule sets. And the second thing is directly come to the pattern action file and modify your pattern action file, which is here fi plus, and here also fi plus and fi plus is there, right? So if you modify your pattern action file, which is exactly maps to fi, and if you don't want, after fi, if you have any value, if you don't want to execute it, then you can simply modify that pattern in the pattern action file. Then next time onwards, it will only map to fi. If you are getting fi plus, it won't map, and it will directly put some value here. What is the default value which you are getting?
Uh, Gopi, I agree with you, but actually, I don't think so. I'm able to understand my question
Mm-hmm.
to you. See, there is if a business will tell you that is a plus is coming, so I don't want to this one. You will convert to as a fully as a classification code. Then we will give it as a null. So in that requirement, we need to change this is if in same file we need to know we need to know that is a unhandled output only for related to is a complete classification code will be there, then only it will come as a null. Otherwise see for this scenario can we do any one of changes, so it will see f plus first one is coming a f plus. So now this we want to as a default whatever code is there like eo uh, floor of Mary is coming. So just can we convert to this one? Can we remove as a null from there? Somewhere we need to change and then it will.
No, one moment. Tell me why you want to remove, or why you want
No,
nullify.
no, no, no. I don't want to remove.
Mm-hmm.
See, is a business requirement is like if a plus is coming.
Okay.
So a plus is one default classification code is there.
Mm-hmm.
So he want to code if there is a any one of default classification code is coming,
Mm-hmm.
it will not become as a null. It will give us some value so we can identify. So we are not going changing here. We are changing here unhandled data. So there is null is coming. So there should null will not be coming. It will become whatever default value is there. First one f plus. So can we change in this one first value f plus and then it will not come as a null.
So
Now we have
basically,
some.
your requirement is wherever you are seeing unclassified token, you don't want
Yes.
it as null. You want like how you are getting here, right? Evo FF
Yes, yes,
and
yes, correct. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes,
that
Gopi.
is what I'm saying. What will happen is, let me take some this thing.
See, you are telling in that case we are giving to as first first we will identify which is a default classification code. So that code we are going to add somewhere. Then it will not come as a, it will come some, if it will become FF, it may be. So you are converting to here in pattern, action pattern file, correct?
That is what I'm saying. There is two ways. One is modifying the classification file and update the pattern action file accordingly. The second
Okay,
thing is don't update the classification file. Directly go to the pattern action statements and modify it. Then what will happen is,
okay,
for example, let me tell you one simple example. I will tell you, and then if you are not getting anything, then we will discuss with some other example. Okay.
okay, sure.
So for now, let's take John is coming, and then after some value like this. Okay, this one is exactly matched to F plus,
Okay,
right? You agree with this?
yes, yes, yes.
So in the pattern action file, what I'm saying is they have defined in a generic way, like if F is coming, okay, let me tell you the pattern, something like this. So what it means is starting with F, and after that anything, any single
Mm,
uh, what I can say token. Okay, if it is coming like this, they have given some kind of pattern action statements, copy of one two. Sorry, let me first name.
mm,
Okay, copy of two last name. Let's take. So this is a kind of generic pattern. This is not a exact match to this particular pattern, right? So they have defined like
okay,
this. Now, so without modifying the classification file, what you can do is you can directly go here, and if you remove this one, let's take, if you are trying to match the exact pattern, like if you want like this FL, first name is John and last name is GOPI or whatever it may be. So if this particular pattern is matching, then only execute this one. This is what you have made in the pattern action file. But you didn't update the classification file, right? Still you will get the pattern as F plus only, but this F plus won't match to this FL. Then obviously these statements will not get executed. You will get here the actual value, what is matching to the F plus.
okay.
You're clear, or
Mm, yes, yes, yes. Okay.
so basically in the pattern action file, that is what I'm saying, in the existed pattern action file. So most of the times they didn't mention the exact matches because they won't know, right? The whole, see, even if that is a US name rule set, they won't know exactly how your data is coming in, the nature of your data, and all those things. They have taken some standard patterns which will match to your US name, and accordingly they have defined some kind of generic patterns and pattern action statements and all those things. If you want specific to your, that is what when we are discussing about the report I told you, if your business needs, they don't want to go with the default classification codes, then you have to, there is two ways. One thing is do the proper investigation on your data and identify all the tokens which are not identified by your rule set. Update the classification file and check the pattern action file whether there is any pattern action pattern and pattern action statements are presented for that particular pattern or not, and then modify it if those are not presented. That is one way. And second way is going to update the classification file and do all those things. You directly come to the pattern action file. If you don't want do all this type of investigation and all those things, directly come to the pattern action file and modify it. Just don't go for the generic patterns and pattern action statements. In that case you need the exact matches and exact pattern action statements. Then you have to modify. This is a lot of work you need to do on the pattern actions file, because they have defined n number of patterns and pattern action statements. So if you modify it
Yeah.
somewhere, then that will be a big problem for you. In this case, specifically in this scenario, what I will suggest to you is don't go with the existed pattern action file and pattern action statements. Try to build your own rule set. So hardly, like you may get 15 or 20 different patterns at max. So try to define your pattern action file or your own rule set for those 15 and 20. And then if any one of the input attribute is not matching to the particular pattern or whatever it may be, then you can simply reject it. Reject in the sense you can see the value here in the unhandled data. So all that code you need to write in your existed rule set in the rule set which you are going to build it. Clear? Like the link you are clear right now.
Yeah, 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 sure, sure.
Yeah. So this is one directly I'm saying going to the pattern action file. But another way which I'm saying is, let me tell you. See, I will run the investigate report. I will take the plus symbol, like here it is coming as Gopi. Then I will check my business ID. Let's assume they have suggested the Gopi as L. Okay, the token for this one. Then if I update my classification file, then what will happen? So when I run the standardization report, instead of getting F plus, this time I have
L.
updated my name, right? You will get FL. Then these statements will get executed, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So two things. One is like do the proper investigation, identify the proper tokens or like an unclassified tokens which are getting from the rule set, and check with your business and update the classification file, and then come to the pattern and identify whether those any pattern is matching to this one or not. If not matching, you need to add your own pattern. That is one way. And the second way is directly going to the pattern action file and updating it, like just to modify. So most of the times they will specify the generic pattern matches only because they are not sure exactly like how your data will come in, right? So just to satisfy all types of data, they have defined the generic type of patterns and pattern action statements. If you need it, you have to do some analysis and you need to modify it for your requirement and all those things. Okay. Any other question you have?
No, Papa, thanks.
Yeah. So this is a kind of name field. So just now we have taken the name and we have seen the report, how the report will looks like. So now let me take another rule set. I'm just showing you how we can apply the rule set and multiple rule sets and all those things. How we can differentiate or how can we filter out the standardized data and not standardized data and all those things. So once you get this idea and if you are able to compare this execution flow with the flow execution flow which we discussed yesterday, and then from tomorrow we will discuss about the actual contents. As I told you, right, we need to look into the pattern action file and all those things we will discuss tomorrow, and then again we will come back to these components and we'll see. This time let me go to the address. Let me take the address and address line 1, address line 2, city, state. Let me go to the stage properties. So this time you can see n number of columns again. Okay, these are all belongs to US address. So basically the stage generated columns you can easily understand by seeing the name itself because it will pad the rule set name at the end of the each and every column so that you can easily understand. Okay, so just now I have added another rule set, that is an address rule set. So let me map these columns to the target and then we will run this report and we'll see. Um, so before adding this address rule set, I have added only the name rule set, and I have explained you what are the columns we can use for the filter out the standardized data and not standardized data. And then I have explained you like in what are columns we can use to form the standardized version. Those three columns, the concatenated columns and all those things. In the similar fashion, in the same standardization stage, I have added two rule sets now. So now on a single attribute or on a single record, I'm doing two attribute standardization. One is the address and second one is the name. So if any one of is not getting standardized, then the whole data we need to, the whole record we need to put into in some other log file, or we need to reject that record, or we need to separate that record, saying that like this particular in a particular record the address is not getting standardized, or name is not getting standardized kind of thing. So earlier if it is a single rule set, you directly specify the unhandled pattern is not equals to null and all those things, right? So right now I have added two rule sets. So in the same constraint you need to put and class, and then you need to add unhandled pattern of US address. So both the things you need to specify now. You're getting it right, or else let me open it. Yeah. These are all like name rule set related columns only. Let me go to the address related columns. Yeah. So starting from here, we can see right underscore US ADDR. These are all like the US address related stage generated columns. And again, how these columns and where these columns matter is presented again in the like how we have in the name rule set, dictionary file, classification file, pattern action file. In the similar fashion, we have the in address rule set also. We have the classification file, dictionary file, and all those things. So how it is getting populated like in all these columns, again the pattern action file, whatever we have in the yes address rule set. And we will discuss about the pattern action file later on. First of all, we will see like how the flow is going on and how we can if anybody asks you like if it is in your job doing the name standardization, address standardization, then how will you put the filter conditions and what all columns exactly you need to use for your like to do the standardization and all those things we'll see later. So right now let me tell you here in the US address rule set also. Here you have the unhandled pattern, right? Wherever you are seeing the unhandled pattern or whatever it may be, then based upon this one, you can filter out the data. Or else you can see it here, right? Unhandled data. Or earlier we have used the unhandled data, right? In our name rule set, we have used the unhandled data. Wherever we are seeing the null data is equals to null or not equals to null, based upon that you are differentiating your data. Here also you can use this column in the similar fashion, unhandled data and unhandled what I can say equals to null or not equals to null. Based upon that you can differentiate your data. And then one more thing is, so right now I have added two rule sets. One is the name and another one is address. In a is a single record, there might be chance name will get standardized, but address will not get standardized. And another row, name will not get standardized, and address may get standardized or whatever. Maybe in another row both will not get standardized. In another row both will get standardized. So there are different scenarios, right? So basically, if any one of the attribute is not getting standardized, you need to log it or you need to separate that data, and you need to communicate back to the customer saying that in your particular record, this particular attribute is not getting standardized and all those things. You just need to communicate back to the customer. So to separate the data like unhandled data based upon this unhandled data, if unhandled data of the US name and unhandled data of the US address, if both are equals to null, then that is a success case for you. Like, both are getting standardized, then you will see null here in unhandled data. So then that data is a standardized version. Then you need to pass it that data to the next level, that is a matching or survivorship or whatever it may be. Whenever, like, if any one of the these two columns, like any unhandled data of the US address or unhandled data of the US name, if any one of is like, not equals to null, then that is a failure case for you. Like, you just communicate back to the customer saying that either name and address are either one of the field is not getting standardized kind of thing. You just need to communicate back. So basically what I'm saying is, in the transformer stage you can put a constraint on both the things. If both are equals to null, then there is a success case for you. If any one of the attribute is not equals to null, then that is a failure case. You just need to communicate back to the customer. So that is filtering condition. Now, like how we have seen for the US name, for the US name we have used three columns to form your standardized version of the name, right? In the similar fashion for address also, there are a couple of columns which we need to concatenate it and to form the actual address. So let's discuss about those columns. Okay, so let me tell you, let's assume your business asks you, like, the address format in this particular fashion, like, house name space and then the street name and then the street type. No, let me tell you, direction and then street name and then street type and then avenues and drives information. Let's take avenues or drives information, something like that. And an address, this is all like, address line 1. They ask you, like, floor numbers, etc. So let's assume this is the standard format which business gives you. Like, in whatever the format the input is coming, whether you're getting the address line 1, address line 2 in both the address line 1 information, or you are getting address line 1 and address line 2 in a different columns, or that doesn't matter. At the end, you just need to standardize it, and you need to put all the address information which you are getting from the source. You need to put it in this particular standard format. So address line will always be house number, street direction, street name and street type and avenues information. And address line 2 will be the floor names, floor numbers or whatever maybe, etc. Let's assume this is the structure which your business was decided for your business. Now, so here house number you have here, right? So you need to put in the transformer stage, basically I'm saying you need to club this house number and concatenate with some space and all those things and go to this street directional. Here you can see direction is nothing but north, south, west, east. So NWS, something like that. So those directions you will get it here in the street direction. So basically you need to concatenate after the house number. You need to concatenate this particular column, and then you need to concatenate this street name and then street suffix type. So street type is nothing but street suffix type. You need to consider it. And then if there are avenues information or drives information, that you can see in a different column here. So once you look at the data, then you can see, like, how exactly the data looks like. So somewhere you can see drives information or rural types information, so something like that you can see it here. So you have to concatenate that column. And again in the address line 2, basically you need to take these the floor numbers and all those box types and floor types. Here we have floor type. So this particular column you need to consider in the street line 2. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, in the once you apply the standardization on your name, or in the what I can say, address field, basically the rule set, what it will do is it will splits your whole data into the number of columns what you have defined in the dictionary file. So basically, once the standardization is done, your data, even if you are passing your data into a single column, but it will split your whole data into the columns which you specified in the dictionary columns, in the dictionary file. If you specify 20 columns, 30 columns, your data, whole data will get split into 20 columns or 30 columns. Then only you can say this your data is getting standardized, or your data was standardized, because that is how they have defined in the pattern action file. So once they are able to identify the house number, they will put into the house number field. Once if they are able to identify the direction, they will put into the direction column. So basically, this all stuff is happening in the pattern action file. So they will do all the standardization. So in the transformer, based upon your requirement, like in how you want it to, like in your business wants the address line one and information, address line two information. Accordingly, you need to club all those columns, and you need to form one single row, and then you need to give it to your user. Okay. So even if you have any, in the similar fashion, even if you have any other rule set, like let's take SSN rule sets or phone number validation rule set or whatever it may be, the filter condition, you just need to add one more filter condition, put and class, and add unhandled data of that particular uh, rule set, and then accordingly you can see some stage generated columns, and accordingly you need to club them. So even if you are applying three rule sets or four rule sets or five rule sets, that doesn't matter. The flow will remain same. So it will add few stage generated columns, and there will be some filter columns for you to differentiate the data, like in the standardized data and not standardized data. And there will be some standardized columns which you need to club it, and you need to form your this standard format which was defined by your business or whatever it may be. So the flow will remain same, but the only thing is you just need to compare it, with the yesterday's execution flow, what is the classification file, so that you can see here in the input pattern and all those things, what is the dictionary file, you can see stage generated columns here, right? So all this metadata is presented in the stage dictionary file, and you are seeing the pattern action file, right? So that is how, that is why, your stage generated columns are getting populated with the data after doing the standardization, after applying the standardization in the pattern action file and pattern action statements and all those things. You just need to have an overview, how the flow is executing, and in the five components whatever we discussed, in the rule set. So what exactly each component importance and all those things, you just need to know. Okay.